On July 16th, 1945, at 5:30 in the morning, I stood in a bunker 10 miles from a steel tower in the New Mexico desert. At the top of that tower was the bomb we had been building for 3 years. My hands were trembling. I had barely eaten in days. 3 years of work, thousands of calculations, hundreds of the best minds in the world, all coming down to the next few seconds. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. I thought about what would happen if the bomb did not work. 3 years wasted, billions of dollars spent for nothing. And somewhere in the world, someone else would finish what we could not. 7, 6, 5. I thought about what would happen if it did work, about cities that could be erased from the map, about people who would not even understand what happened before they ceased to exist. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then came the light. A blind woman in Albuquerque, 250 miles away, asked her companion what that was. She saw the flash through her blindness. We who watched through protective goggles saw something no human being had ever seen before. The steel tower ceased to exist. It did not fall. It did not melt. It vaporized. 100 feet of steel turned to gas in an instant. The sand beneath the tower became glass, a new mineral that had not existed on Earth until that second. They later called it Trinitite. The fireball rose into the sky, 300 meters in diameter. Temperature on its surface, thousands of degrees. Inside, tens of millions, like the core of the sun. And my mind reached for words. First came a line from the Bhagavad Gita about beauty. If the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst at once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the Mighty One. Then came another line, darker, truer. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Kenneth Bainbridge, who directed the test, turned to me and said, "Now we are all sons of bitches." He was right. Let me explain what exactly we created. Why I call this the end of nature and the beginning of history. Conventional explosives use chemical energy. Molecules rearrange, releasing the energy of bonds between atoms. TNT, dynamite, gunpowder. All of this is chemistry. All of this is a child's toy compared to what we did. We reached deeper into the very nucleus of the atom. The nucleus consists of protons and neutrons. They are held together by the strong nuclear force. This is the most powerful force in the known universe. When the nucleus of a heavy element splits, part of this energy is released. One act of fission yields little. But when the splitting of one nucleus causes others to split, a chain reaction begins. Billions of fissions in millionths of a second. We used plutonium, 6 kilograms of metal, warm to the touch from its own radioactive decay. I held it in my hands. Metal capable of destroying a city, and it fit in my palm. But gathering plutonium is not enough. You must compress it to critical density faster than it can tear itself apart. For this, we used implosion. 32 blocks of explosive around the plutonium core, each block shaped with mathematical precision. When they detonate simultaneously, shock waves converge at the center. Synchronization must be perfect. A difference of a microsecond, and everything is wasted. I did not sleep for nights thinking about this synchronization, about the shape of the explosive lenses, about whether we had calculated everything correctly. The mathematics was correct, but nature is not obligated to obey our mathematics. It obeyed. The shock wave compressed the plutonium. Its diameter shrank by half in a few microseconds. Density increased 2.5 times. And here is where what I still cannot comprehend begins. Under normal conditions, plutonium has a density of 19.5 grams per cubic centimeter. During implosion, the density reached 50 grams per cubic centimeter. Such density does not exist in nature, not in the cores of stars, not in neutron stars, not in supernova explosions. We created conditions the universe itself does not create. I am a physicist. My whole life I studied the laws of nature. I believed science was observation. We look at the universe and describe what we see. Newton watched apples. Einstein imagined beams of light. We were translators, not authors. In that moment in the New Mexico desert, I understood we had stopped being translators. We had seized the pen and begun writing our own text, a text that does not exist in nature. At critical density, every neutron strikes another nucleus. The reaction becomes explosive. The number of fissions doubles every 10 nanoseconds, 10 billionths of a second. In 80 generations, the energy of 20,000 tons of TNT is released. Temperature at the center, tens of millions of degrees. Pressure, millions of atmospheres. Matter becomes plasma. We reproduce the conditions of the sun's core on the surface of the earth. I watched that fireball and thought, we have done what the sun does. We have stolen fire from the stars. The yield of Trinity was 21 kilotons, 21,000 tons of TNT. The most powerful bombs of World War II weighed 10 tons. We exceeded them by thousands of times with a single device. 3 weeks later, I learned the bomb had been dropped on Hiroshima. 15 kilotons. 70,000 dead instantly. Another 70,000 in the following weeks. A fireball, 300 meters in diameter. People within 500 meters vaporized. Their shadows remained burned into stone. 3 days later, Nagasaki. 21 kilotons. The same design as Trinity. 40,000 dead immediately. I called this an enormous relief. Those words haunt me. They sound like the words of a monster. But let me explain what I meant. The war continued. Japan would not surrender. The battles for Iwo Jima and Okinawa showed the Japanese military would fight to the last. The planned invasion of the Japanese islands would have cost hundreds of thousands of American lives, millions of Japanese. The war was killing tens of thousands every week. The bomb stopped this. Relief did not mean joy at the deaths. Relief meant the greater slaughter did not happen. A cruel method stopped even greater cruelty. But it did not make things easier. The arithmetic of suffering does not quiet conscience. It deepens the horror. Because I began to understand what we had unlocked. After the war, the arms race began in earnest. In 1949, the Soviet Union tested its bomb. The monopoly ended. Politicians and generals demanded a response. Edward Teller, my former colleague, had a plan. The hydrogen bomb. Thermonuclear weapon. Not fission of heavy nuclei, but fusion of light ones. Synthesis of hydrogen at temperatures of tens of millions of degrees. An ordinary atomic bomb needed as a trigger. Yield 1,000 times greater than Hiroshima. I opposed it. The atomic bomb is a weapon of war. It can be used against military targets. The hydrogen bomb is a weapon of genocide. There is no military target that justifies megaton yield. It exists only to destroy everything. In 1952, the Americans tested the first thermonuclear bomb. 10.5 megatons. 500 times more powerful than Hiroshima. In 1961, the Soviet Union tested the Tsar Bomba. 50 megatons. A fireball 8 kilometers in diameter. The shock wave circled the Earth 3 times. The flash was visible 1,000 kilometers away. 50 megatons. Approximately 3,300 Hiroshimas. One bomb. The theoretical yield of that design was 100 megatons. They reduced it by half only because the delivery aircraft would not have had time to escape. 100 megatons. One bomb capable of destroying any city with all its suburbs. I watched this and thought, what have we done? We have opened a box that cannot be closed. Today there are approximately 12,500 nuclear warheads in the world. 9 countries possess them. The combined yield is enough to destroy all major cities several times over. But direct destruction is only part of it. Mass use would lift millions of tons of soot into the stratosphere from burning cities. The soot would block sunlight. Temperatures would fall by 10 to 20 degrees. Agriculture would become impossible. Billions would die of starvation, even in countries that suffered no direct strikes. Nuclear winter. The end of civilization. Possibly the end of humanity as a species. This is what I saw in that flash in the New Mexico desert. Not just a powerful bomb, an instrument for the destruction of worlds. People ask why I recalled the Bhagavad Gita. Why those particular words? I learned Sanskrit to read this text in the original. This was not an academic exercise. The Gita spoke to me personally. Arjuna stands before battle. In the enemy army are his relatives, teachers, friends. He cannot raise his bow. Victory means killing everyone he loves. Then the god Vishnu reveals his true form. Countless arms, countless faces, terrible and beautiful at once, and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." This is not a threat. Vishnu explains, "You did not create this war. You cannot stop it. Death will come regardless of your actions. Your duty is to fulfill your role. Inaction is also a choice, and often more destructive. I was Arjuna. In 1939, it became known that German physicists were working on nuclear energy. Heisenberg remained in Germany. He could create a bomb for Hitler. I did not want to build a weapon of mass destruction. But I understood, if the knowledge exists, someone will use it. If not us, then the Nazis. Inaction meant giving this power to fascism. So I accepted my role, became an instrument of history, knowing that history would neither forgive nor forget. When Vishnu calls himself death, he does not repent. He states a fact. Death was inevitable. Vishnu simply became its face. I too became a face, not because I chose destruction, but because I stood at the point where knowledge of destruction became available. Someone had to realize it. Physics existed before me and will exist after. Equations do not depend on who writes them. Nuclear reactions work the same for Americans, Germans, Russians. If not me, then someone else. Knowledge was approaching like a wave toward shore. I simply stood there when it arrived. After the war, I said, physicists have known sin. People thought I meant the deaths. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, shadows on stone. I meant something else. The sin of pride. The belief that we have the right to decide. But a few hundred scientists, without elections, without public oversight, can determine the fate of billions. For 3 centuries, physics was observation. We described the laws of the universe. We were humble witnesses to cosmic poetry. In 1945, we stopped observing. We intervened. We created conditions nature does not create. We claim the right of gods. And here is the main question to which I never found an answer. By what right? By what right did we decide what was best for humanity? That the war should end this way and not another? That 100,000 deaths here would prevent 1 million there? The silence after Trinity haunted me, because in it I heard the absence of an answer. They stripped me of my security clearance in 1954, officially because of communist associations in the 30s. In reality, because I opposed the hydrogen bomb. I gave them the fire of the gods. They punished me for warning them not to burn down the world. My final years I spent in Princeton, surrounded by geniuses, isolated by history. I thought about what we had done, about what cannot be undone. Knowledge cannot be forgotten. Equations are published. Technologies have spread. Any country with sufficient resources can create nuclear weapons. The threshold lowers with each decade. Every generation since 1945 lives with this knowledge. You have built treaties, created safeguards, agreed on rules. For more than 70 years, no nuclear weapon has been used in war. That is something. That is not nothing. But the knowledge remains. It is now part of humanity, woven into civilization, inseparable from the future. The destroyer of worlds is not the bomb. It is not me. It is the knowledge itself. You are all Arjuna now. The bow is in your hands. You did not choose this war. You cannot undo it. The knowledge exists regardless of your wish. The question is not whether you have become death. You already have. All of humanity became death the moment the fireball rose over the New Mexico desert. The question is what you will do with this power. Whether you can contain it. Whether you can live with knowledge that cannot be forgotten. I did not find an answer. Perhaps you will. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. These words are not an admission of guilt, not boasting, a statement of fact. I became the face of a force greater than any human judgment, an instrument of history that does not ask permission. You have inherited this power. You have inherited this face. What will you do with it?